Listen only.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the Client Support webinar for Wednesday. And of course, today is December 14th, 2022. All right, so I assume everybody can hear me. If somebody wants to let me know it's okay, feel free to. I did an audio check before we got started, so I'm pretty sure we're good. Jeannie, any announcements you want to make? Thanks, Mark. Got it.
Welcome everybody. Good to see everybody here, getting into the holiday spirit. And hi there, Mark. And Kumar is here. So I think covering some Elliott wave with the scanner would be great. And then also too, we have an event on Saturday where Bennett will be speaking in a webinar on Saturday at, I believe he begins at 1 o'clock on Saturday on Eastern time. So I'll post the link for that. And that's about it, Ben. Back to you.
All right, Gene, thanks. Hey, I'm glad you mentioned the webinar because I had forgotten I'm doing that. Okay, so that's on Saturday. And I think some of my old pals are going to be there, right? I think Larry Williams is going to be there and Steve Nissen.
Larry McMillan and Steve Nissen.
Yeah, good. Be good to see them. I haven't chatted with them in a while. All right, well, let me go through some, of course, the fun administrational things, which include our risk control statement. This is something I always have to go over whenever I do one of these events. So there are risks involved in trading. It is possible to lose some or all your money trading in financial markets. That's why we use risk control, and that is why we recommend trading with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. Also, to check with your money manager or financial advisor before actually taking any trades that we may go over, or any of the ideas that we're thinking here, or analysis, just to be sure they're suitable for you, because we don't know your personal situation. And then finally, make sure you know how to do risk control, okay? That's really important. You have to be able to calculate your trade size, also known in the industry as your position size, on each and every trade. And we've got a great new book called the Money Management for Traders book, second from the right in green outline there. And that book is a really concise but really good book on how to implement risk control into whatever type of trading you do. No kidding. All right, so you'll be able to calculate your trade size and goes over the risk of ruin stuff and all that kind of good stuff. If you want a deeper dive, you know, we always have the book on the far left called Trader's Money Management System. So two great books on risk control. We got one on Elliott wave. Everybody should have the Elliott wave one if they like Elliott wave. Then I'm coming out with a new book. Wiley, my publisher, contacted me earlier this year and said, we need a new book on the art of trading. And he's right, they're right. I mean, the old book was what, dated 2008. We've been doing this now for, gosh, how long have we been doing this now? 24, almost 25 years now in terms of commercially. And so we're due for a new art of trading book, and that's going to include the latest software that we've released since the first book, and also how to handle the volatility we're seeing in the markets today. So you can pre-order that, and the link is, you know, Gene can either put the link in the chat area here, or you can go to the website and get it, okay? Let's see what else. Okay, so software, let me just go over this really quick. So we've tried to keep this kind of orderly. The top row here is all our charting software. The art software, that's the pyramids and the art reversals. We use it for risk control entries and exits. Then we have these three boxes here called the OWL, PTF, and TLM. Some of you may know those as what we call the toolbox. I'll put TB up here. So if you buy the toolbox, that's what you get. And then we have another indicator over here called the emotional reader index. And we use that a lot to identify when markets get manic, either to the upside or the downside. And so we use that information to scale out of markets or exit. And then on the second row, we have the scanners. And this year we came out with the multiple time frame scanner. And all our scanners work on NinjaTrader, TradeStation, or multi-charts. eSignal does not have a compatible scanner, nor does MT4 or MT5. I don't even think they have a scanner at all. But in any case, so eSignal won't work on, but it will work on TradeStation, Ninja, and multi-charts. And we have the Trade Confirmer, Turbo Scanner, and the Elliott wave scanner. This is a really popular scanner and identifies wave 3s and wave 5s. I'm going to go over that today because I think we have somebody here that purchased that. Kumar, I think that's you, right? So I'll go over that and tell you the philosophy behind why we identify waves 3 and 5 and not other waves, okay? And it has to do with the reliability factor on forecasting movements. All right, and then we have the trader's assistant software, the risk reward calculator, and the trade size calculator for risk control. Now, if you have the trade size calculator, you should upgrade to the risk to reward, okay? I think it's a whopping $69 to upgrade. Shouldn't break the bank on too many people. Just don't go to Starbucks for a day or two. All right, so the reason for this does everything the trade size calculator does, but it calculates your risk to reward. And it's really important to do that on each and every trade. I mean, you can do it, I guess, manually in other ways, but the calculator makes it so simple, all right? And we use that for day trading as well as position trading. Also, too, the trader's assistant software is what we use to keep track of all our trades. So that's excellent software in its own right. All right, okay, let me go out and I can have to get rid of these pictures. These were from our last tutorial. Okay, so let's go out of there. And here we are in TradeStation. And then, of course, I've got Ninja as well up and running too. So let me go over a little bit on the Elliott wave scanner. I'll start out with that first here, and that's it working here. So you can set the scanner up for any time frame you want to scan. So if you want to scan the daily time frames, you can do that. If you want to scan other time frames, you can do whatever you want, okay? And probably in TradeStation, you know, you just go to the interval and change the interval. On Ninja Trader, to do that, it's the same information. It just looks a little different, okay, in some of these things. So for example, you know, if we go to, let's just go here, okay, you can see the Elliott wave scanner here, all right, and basically giving you the same information, just cosmetically a little different. So when we talk about adjustment settings, I'm going to cover that first, and then I'm going to go into the thought process behind creating it. So if we right click on this, okay, and go to studies and then go to edit all studies, for example, it brings up a box, a window where you can actually edit the different studies. And so you come down here, okay, and you see the Elliott wave scanner, and you go to customize that, and there it is. Now, one of the things that's important before I go there is notice that there are two identical Elliott wave studies loaded. And you do that. One's for wave 3 and the other one's for wave 5. So you have to have two. So then you want to go in and just customize it, make sure that it's kind of the way you want it, all right? So it comes defaulted auto detect, so you keep that. Inputs, pretty simple, all right? Now, this extended wave here, what that does is the current default on going back is 144 price bars, and that's a fib number. So that price bar will usually tell you the current wave 3, if there is one, in the last 144 price bars. And because you're not going all the way back further than that, you may be in a wave 3 inside a longer term wave C, okay? Or you may be in a super major wave 3. And so the extended wave goes back further to try to identify the overall wave 3, okay? So that's kind of where that's at. And so if you want to take a little look, you put true, T-R-U-E in there, and it will look back, okay? Just remember to bring it back to false if you want, okay? That kind of thing. And that's pretty much the you know, it. Now on the Elliott wave 2, go to customize, and you'll see under inputs, this says 5. So one of these will have wave 3 and one will have wave 5. Now, if we go to the settings on Ninja Trader, you'll notice it's a little different. We go under columns, okay, and that brings up the window there. And then here we have the Elliott wave 3. And there's a few more settings just because that's the way Ninja's set up. all right? And 600, you wanna make sure the bar is loaded at 600, that's a default, and that is automatically set on TradeStation as well. You should label this to Elliott Wave 3. They allow you to do that here, so you can do that. You can't do that on TradeStation. And then that's pretty much it. And just make sure you have the time frame set up correctly. And then you do the same thing for the Elliott Wave 5, okay? 5 up here. All right, and then the bars, and then the day, okay? And then change label, you know, relabel it there. All right, so basically same information, just a little bit different presentation. Now, I want to get into a couple things here. I'm going to bring up a whiteboard, so it should look totally white now. So, you know, in an Elliott wave, and let's just take a bullish wave for now because it keeps things simple. You know, you have a bottom, and then you have the first move up. Okay, that's 1. Then you have 2. Then you have 3. Then you have 4. And then you have 5. Okay, and then the trend ends, right? And then it changes because it goes into an ABC or a brand new 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so the impulsive waves are 1, 3, and 5. The Elliott wave scanner is designed to find the impulsive wave 3 and the impulsive wave 5. Why isn't it designed to find that? Why won't it find that? Why won't it find this? Anybody? Why do we only find 3 and 5? Anybody? Okay. False breakouts. Bingo. All right. So let me just say this. A lot of times when you have a market that's bottoming, it's usually channeling back and forth. Okay. Channel could be kind of like that. So, and then it may break out a little bit and come back in. So a lot of times what we try to do with scanning is we're kind of looking for the sure things. Okay. And wave 1s and 2s can actually occur, all right, kind of in a channel, and you're not going to know they're really 1s and 2s until they break above 1, right? Okay, so that's kind of the deal behind that. And so we kind of want to make sure that we get above 1 significantly before we actually start labeling, and wave 2 cannot be lower than these waves. All right, so a lot of times in a channel, you can get a lot of false breakouts. You know, you get something like that, and then it goes back in here like this. All right, so, you know, you kind of gotta be careful with that. So what we designed the thing to do really is take a look at the owl built into the Elliott wave scanner, which looks at momentum. And so the owl's gotta be in such a way, hold on, just got blanked out of that. Let me bring that back up.
Hello, hello, is your audio working? Hello, hello, is your audio working?
Yeah, I'm here. I lost my pointer, so I got to reconfiguring that.
Don't you just hate that?
You guys can hear me still, right?
Don't you just hate that?
That was kind of weird. All right, so we'll start again. So as you have this bottoming area, there you go. All right, so like this, the first breakout, all right, is significant, and the owl will pick that up with a bullish green color. You're not going to see that. This is built in to the Elliott wave scanner. Now, if you have the owl charting indicator, you'll see it, but otherwise you won't. All right, and then it moves back down. All right, and then we move back up. So 1, 2. So the owl, in order for this to pick up wave 3, has got to be higher in momentum than wave 1. So this histogram at the bottom has to be higher. So what do we mean by that? So we mean this little histogram here, okay? These little histograms here, okay, are what we're talking about. And so they have to be higher than the histogram in 1 for this thing to start to pick up a major wave 3. And then the histogram has got to be one of the highest ones recorded. because these are going to produce, these areas are going to produce bullish owls back here. All right. So you don't want to have it start marking here. You have to have a significant owl. And that's what we look for in wave 3. And so usually that significant owl will not come until we break above wave 1. And that's kind of what you want to do. So in essence, all right, if you tried to enter here on 2, then you really don't know if that's a 2, because if it keeps going down, guess what? It's not. Okay, it's stuck back in a channel. So that's why we don't label the 2s, because we really don't know until they're over. And by then we're above 1, and by then the owl starts to kick in. So you'll get the wave 3 identification. So the idea is by eliminating wave 2 on the Elliott wave, you're kind of keeping yourself out of what could be a false breakout or a false wave 2. Now, the next thing is basically, if you see an Elliott wave 3 on the scanner, look at the chart. Okay, it doesn't mean you just automatically go in, because if you just happen to show up or scan or load the scanner and it shows a wave 3, but you look at the chart and wave 3 is still unfolding but mature, it may be too late to get in. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. What you want to do is try to get in ideally as close as you can to the top of wave 1, right? Now, let's say you show up late. Well, if you show up late, at least you know that where you are in the trend. So it's kind of giving you a roadmap. Whenever you can find a wave 3 in the Elliott wave sequence, that's actually not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because then you know where you are. Because you know after wave 3, you'll have wave 4. And then after that, you should have wave 5. All right. So if you scan and you're looking at this late, well, you still might have an opportunity to go short on wave 4, or at the very least, put it on a watch list and take a look at it. And when you get down to wave 4 and you start to see wave 5, go long. Likewise, if you happen to run a scan, okay, and you see it's in wave 5 instead of wave 3, if you can get in right here, that's great. But if by chance you're late and look up here, well, guess what? All is not lost, because you know after wave 5, you're going to have a big move down. So get ready for a short position. And vice versa, if it's a bearish trend. I'm showing you a bullish trend. So the scanner is identifying the 2 most important waves. And if you can get in early enough, you can trade those. If you happen to scan and you're too late, then at that particular point, you look for the next possible trade, okay? So that's how the scanner works, and that was the design features that we took into account when we designed it, because in the beginning, we just found the wave 2s created too many false breakouts, and that's exactly, basically, I think, Rick, which is what you said in the beginning, and that's correct, okay? All right, so 3 and 5, as Mark says, is the most reliable. Then it becomes just then you want to kind of check your scanner every night. If you're on a daily, if you're checking for daily scans, in other words, the daily charts, check them every night in case a brand new wave 3 or wave 5 appears. If you check them every week, then the problem is by the time you see the wave 3, it might be too far along and not really a good possible trade. Now, let me give you a little tip, okay? So let's say you scan and you notice it here. So you're not really 100% sure if it's mature or still okay to trade. Well, if you can see the waves inside the wave 3, because don't forget, wave 3 is an impulsive wave, so there's 5 waves in it. Sometimes on the daily chart, you can see the waves inside. Sometimes you can't. And if you can't make it out, then what you want to do is go down to a 60-minute chart and see if you can see them there. They should be more visible. So if you show up here, okay, then you know you can use your fib extensions and figure out the target for wave 5 inside wave 3, and that should be the top of wave 3. Okay. No, no, we're not going to add any numbers on the wave counts. Never really asked that before, honestly. Because you have to, here's how you would do that, Kumar. Sorry. Just go down to the 60-minute chart. Scan the 60-minute chart. So you're using TradeStation or NinjaTrader? I'm not sure which one you're using. This is a good question, though. It's a very good question. So I think I know where you're going with this. Are you on TradeStation or Ninja? Kumar? It doesn't really matter. The main thing is that if you're finding you're showing up late to these and you want to kind of get an idea, scan for a 60-minute chart. You can do that, you know. Just change the time frame to 60 minutes. And then if it shows a wave 3, also look at the daily chart and see if that's a wave 3 inside a major wave 3. Sometimes you might have a wave 3 inside a C wave, so there may not be that much room left. Okay, so you're using TradeStation. Yeah, so you just change the columns on TradeStation, all right, up in the scanner right here. Just change the interval. Well, that's not you. Let me go to TradeStation. You just trade, you can do it on Ninja. You just change the interval. Okay, set up another tab. Okay, you can create another tab and make it scan the 60 minutes. You see what I'm saying? And then that way, maybe you can pick up the wave 3 on a 60-minute chart. And then you got to look at the daily chart and see if that's a wave 3 too. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. Great, it's a great question. Okay, so what he's saying, just in case people need a little explanation on that, he's saying, is there a way to scan for these smaller waves inside wave 3? And while we don't number the scans, which is what I kind of thought you were first asking, but that's not really what you're asking. While we don't number the actual waves inside, you can actually scan on the lower time frame to pick up the waves inside the larger wave. So if you find a wave 3 on a 60-minute chart, then look at the daily chart and see if that's a wave 3 too. Now, if it's showing wave 3 on the 60, maybe you're in a wave 3 inside a wave 1. So that's not going to show up on the scanner, right? And believe me, you're going to want to get out at wave 1 because wave 2 may not be wave 2, right? If it's a false breakout. Okay, so that kind of thing. Or you may be in a C wave, because don't forget, you know, during these corrections here, like an A, B, C, maybe on the lower time frames, you know, C of 4, A, B, 3, okay? So maybe it's picking up this wave if it's a bearish, you know, vice versa if it's bullish, but maybe it's a C wave, so it doesn't have that much room to go. All right, so it may not be worth a trade. Does that help you? That's actually a very excellent question you asked. Good, okay, I think we did, good, excellent. Well, that's why we do that's the purpose of the workshops here, okay, is to cover stuff like that. It's a great tool. I use it all the time, and there's a lot of different ways you can use it, okay, depending on just exactly an example you gave. Scanning the lower time frames with the higher time frames, and then seeing where exactly you are in wave 3 if you're not sure. Sometimes you can just look by looking at the daily chart. You know, if you're just clearing off a bottom, then chances are you're in early enough on wave 3 to take advantage of it. All right, so another thing my tech support people have asked me to cover today is, you know, we have a software engineer, Mark, who goes remotes onto computers and does installations initially. You can also purchase the service called Platinum Care. And his average time spent on computers is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes he's on for 4 hours. Sometimes he's on for 20 minutes. Depends on the computer he's on and so forth. But one of the things he's found that he wanted me to go over is, believe it or not, a lot of people are having trouble understanding or knowing where to look for Windows updates. And I want to go over that. So you see this little thing down here on the far left-hand side, okay? Click on that. You see a little window icon? I'm here. Hopefully you can see that on your system there. If you click on that, that brings up all your pinned items and all your fun stuff. And there's one called settings, okay? So you want to click on that. Now, many people will say, well, Ben, I have all my windows set up for automatic updates, so why do I need to check it? And the reason is some of the cumulative updates do not automatically install. They sit there waiting for you to tell them it's okay to install it. All right, so click on this button once a week. I'm going to recommend everybody do this once a week. Click on this button. This will take you up to your basically control page, home page, so to speak. And so then you go over here to Windows Update. Okay, click on that and physically click on the check for Windows updates. Now, some may already be sitting there, but some may not. So I do this once a week at the very least, and I'm up to date, okay? If you're not up to date, it'll give you a laundry list, okay, of what to do. All right, so you gotta check that once a week, because the problem is that your software depends on it. And when you update, and you should also do this, I'll show you this in a minute for Ninja and TradeStation and all your platforms. You need to check those once a week too. But the problem is when they sit there waiting to be installed, they're taking up cache on your computer. It actually slows your computer down a little bit. And so you kind of want to get those off the cache and get them installed and free up that memory it's taken. So promise me you'll do this, okay? Yeah, so Mark just found a couple there. So do that once a week, and you'll be amazed that what you thought was automatically installed is not, okay? So definitely check that out. Now, sometimes you'll see, I think it's on the right-hand side, but sometimes you'll see on your toolbar kind of a little circle with a blue dot on it. That's telling you, I think it's like a restart warning or something. It's telling you that there's an update that needs to be installed. Click on that. I always go to the control panel. So once again, let me just go over that, because a lot of people, it's good for a lot of people know how to do this. All right. Probably many of you know already, but there's some that don't, and some will watch the video. All right, so go to settings. All right, go to Windows Update up here. And all you have to do is click updates. And then whatever it says to do, all right, if you have to install any, make sure you close your other programs, because you'll usually have to reboot. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But close everything so you get a nice clean install. And also too, after you install the current updates that are there and you restart your computer, go back and check it again. Because what happens is sometimes the installed updates trigger the next sequence of updates. So in other words, you have to have the installed ones in first before it will give you maybe others that are sitting there waiting to be installed too. So just check it. Every time you do an update, go back and check it manually to see if you got them all. And if you didn't, just keep doing it until you get them all. All right, and that will keep your system running smoothly and efficiently. Now, when it comes to, and the problem is Mark doesn't like to do any software installs unless your computer's up to date, because sometimes you may be missing a net file or something that even Ninja requires to work properly. So definitely check that out. Usually TradeStation does a pretty good job, because when you log out of TradeStation, if they have an update, they'll tell you. Okay, so I don't think you really have to worry too much about TradeStation. Ninja, on the other hand, all right, what you want to do is go to help, okay, and here's the download area. You go to about and see, you know, basically what your current version is. Then you can go to the download area and it will Now, one thing you need to know is you do need your license number. And so to get your license number, click on help again and go to license key. And that will have your license number. Just copy it, okay? And then paste it in when they ask you in the download window, okay? You paste it right in here, okay? And that's how you would access it. So you should do that every week or two as well. Sometimes they let you know, sometimes they don't, or maybe you missed it. The other thing too, every platform, charting platform, okay, has an area of help guides. In other words, if you're new to a platform and you're kind of trying to figure it out and, you know, it's the basics, so go to the help guides, okay? Go to help. And in Ninja, here are resources, help guides, video guides. But if you go to the help guides, all right, maybe you're having trouble, you know, with charts, or you want to go to the video library, and here's a whole thing on charts. Here's videos on how to use the charts. Okay, so you know, that's really helpful, because a lot of times, you know, when our software engineer is there, his job is basically to install the software, make sure it's working, but his job's really not to teach you how to use the platform. Mark's pretty patient, so he'll give you some basics, but you're going to need to know how to use the charting platform you're on. So it's really important to do that. And TradeStation has, you know, similar feature there too. They have a lot of educational events and things like there. So you get training, getting started, live webcasts, you know. So all these platforms, doesn't really matter which one you're using, but they all have a help section where you can learn how to use it. And it's quite interesting, because a lot of people, you know, will start on a new platform and it's kind of like learning a foreign language, but after a month or so, it's easy, okay? But the first week they kind of struggle, which is kind of normal, all right? So be patient with yourself, but definitely check out those help guides so you can get the help you need to get around, all right? And then come here too. You know, if you're having trouble with something's not quite making sense on the help guides, come here and I'll be glad to show you, you know, how to do certain things. I know on NinjaTrader, for example, there are some things regarding, you know, they have connections, okay? You can connect to different things here, all right, and configuring those connections. Well, in the help resources, they cover how to do that, all right? So if you have any trouble or want to know a little bit more about connections, it's right there. Now, what's interesting is if you're connecting to Thinkorswim data from TD Ameritrade, all right, you have to have the latest Windows updates in order to do that. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Mark was on one computer and they didn't have one of the updates. He couldn't figure out why it wasn't connecting. And it was because the Windows updates weren't installed. And there was one in there that needed to be installed to do the connection. And same thing, sometimes you need to update the platform in order for the connection to remain good. So always check that. All right, I can't emphasize that enough. Really important stuff. One more thing, if you're using Ninja and you're trying to connect to TD Ameritrade, it only is stock data, you know. You only get stock data. You may have futures data on Thinkorswim, but TD Ameritrade does not provide futures data to third-party vendors like NinjaTrader, okay? So when you go to connect to your TD Ameritrade data, you're only going to get stocks. Now, NinjaTrader has Kinetic, which is excellent data, but you got to pay for it. It's intraday too, but they do have excellent end of day called daily data. Now, let me just show you something here. TradeStation, you guys don't have to worry about that because you're getting all your data anyway. So on Kinetic end of day, see, that's free. I happen to have that working along with my Kinetic data. When I go to trade futures, I go to my NinjaTrader Continuum account, where a brokerage account is. And but the end of day data can be a little confusing. People go, well, what does that mean? Basically, the bottom line is it's data for daily charts or better. It will not give you data for intraday charts, and it will give you data at the end of the day. It's excellent data. They scrub it. It's really clean, and they update it after every trading day. So it is current. Okay, it's not delayed, really. It's not 20 minutes delayed. It's not the same. It's updated at the close of the day. Okay, but it has data for, I think, everything. I think futures they give you for free, stocks, even forex. So you get all the data and it's free, which isn't bad. So if you're a position trader, that may be all you need. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, well, that takes us to the end of the session today. Hopefully I answered everybody's question. Kumar, I want to make sure you're all set, and personally welcome you aboard with the Elliott Wave scanner that you just got. And come here as often as you would like. If you have any questions or need any help, I'm more than happy to help you with that, okay? And that goes for anybody out there, you know, that of course have bought our software or our courses too, okay? So hopefully that will give you, Kumar, a little bit of insight in the design behind the Elliott Wave scanner. And again, I thank you for coming and getting that squared away, and also asking a good question on the Elliott Wave 3s inside the major 3s. That was good. All right, so let's see. Anybody else? Anything else before I run here?
Good session, Ben.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, that was fun. Oh,
And
my pleasure, Kumar, my pleasure. Again, welcome. Yeah, so I'm here every Wednesday. So if you have any questions, just write them down. You know, a lot of times you can email our support and create a ticket. Sometimes though, you know, it's easier to explain it in a forum like this where I can show you, you know. Sometimes things get lost in emails, you know, in terms of the explanation. So it's always good to have that. And that's why we have these, is because we just like to make sure everybody's gets their questions answered. All right, well, listen, I know everybody's getting ready for the holidays. They are approaching, still got some time. Markets are up 217 today. So I, you know, usually statistically, the markets are pretty bullish right before the major holiday. So we'll see if that continues on. But anyway, that's it, okay? Okay, Rick, you're very welcome, okay? All right, very good. All right, so everybody have a good one. We'll see you back here next week. And don't forget also, if you're new, we record all these, but the recordings are put as unlisted videos in our YouTube channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can't find it, all right? You have to go through that log on for our, you know, the VIP Customer Hub client support portal, okay? That's where you need to go to access the link for the recordings on YouTube. We kind of hide them because we don't want the general public to kind of know what we're talking about here. We kind of want to make this for our clients only. So that's kind of why we unlist them. We're not trying to be difficult. We just kind of don't think that information needs to be out in the public. So for you to join that, just go to the log into your VIP portal, all right, using your username and password. And on the home page, you'll see a little area, I believe, where it will say client support recordings. Click on that, it will take you to YouTube and then take you to all the unlisted client supports. And we got a ton of them there. So there's a, you know, and then I try to put a little, you know, quick info on what they are. So like this one will be Elliott Wave Scanner Basics or something like that. All right. Okay, you're welcome, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much.